Good morning. I thought it was going to be teeming rain this morning. That was the prognosis. It's still promised to have a full day of rain today. But who knows what's going to happen. If there's a full day of rain, maybe there'll be lovely rainbows. This little doggy is declaring intrusion of his property. I'm just going to take a moment here to turn off the lights. If you bear with me for a moment. And you can keep an eye on these dogs. This door needs a little oil in the hinges. Oh, there comes out the sun again right now because it was gone behind that cloud. The birds are busy. Let's go down here. Don't slip, okay? There, you did it fine. We want lots of water coming here. We want the lake to rise before the reeds start growing, so we keep a clear view of the lake. I hear rumblings of thunder in the background now. I was all geared for heavy rain. I had my jacket, I had umbrella, then I went back in to drop them and I saw there was no rain. Maybe you have been reading getting a preview of the readings. Be interesting for you to share your comments about the readings. That's really the idea. This is just introduction. You take them out and ponder them, see the connections. I saw a comment this morning that the second line of the first reading of wisdom that we have this morning, through envy death entered the world. That's the first time there's a comment in the scriptures identifying the serpent with the devil. The book of wisdom is fascinating because it connects so much of the scriptures. The person, the author of the Book of Wisdom, whose name we don't know, is steeped in the scriptures. Like a wet sponge, it's just dripping out of him. The consciousness that we're made in the image and likeness of God is very strong. At the very beginning of the scriptures, but all the scriptures have echoes in the Book of Wisdom, all the preceding scriptures. So he's nourished his whole mental life, his thought, his aspirations, his desires are all nourished by the scriptures. Yeah, there's some serious thunder back there, so I'm not sure if rain is going to surprise us. It doesn't look like it, but maybe we shouldn't go too far away from cover. This text of the Book of Wisdom is one of the most beautiful texts of the book, and it's dealing with the issue of death, a theme that's big in November in the northern hemisphere, when all of the flourishing of nature seems to recede and the leaves fall and the trees are bare and we enter winter. And this has been obviously a metaphor for the human experience of death and pondering the nature of death and what becomes of us after death. And this is, let's say, a peak really of biblical thought before the New Testament. Probably about exactly 100 years later, we have the first letter of the Thessalonians, and they're very worried about if there's going to be some difference between those who have died and those who have not died. The ones who died are going to be at a disadvantage at the second coming of Christ. So it's a time when they're processing the impact and implications of the resurrection. I have an idea what we're going to go and see today. The sun is playing with us, it's coming in and out all the time. I want you to read that text, it's very beautiful. God formed man to be imperishable, the image of his own nature he made them. That's Genesis 1. This is the creation. Genesis 2. Made in his image and likeness. This thought, it's the very beginning of Genesis, is so powerful for understanding the human being. And without this thought, we are bereft of our identity, of our dignity. We're made in his image and likeness. And the consciousness that the human being after death is not done. And this is the struggle dealing with this without any experience of the risen Lord. prior to that. And we know that the Sadducees and the Pharisees were at loggerheads. The Pharisees believed in the resurrection of the dead, and the Sadducees denied that possibility. That was one of their major distinctions. And that was really hot and passionately debated at the time of Jesus and at the time of remember the story about the woman that had 7 husbands? And then we had in St. Paul, he gets away because he calls out this argument, and the Pharisees and the Sadducees start fighting, and it got into a terrible brawl, a real bad brawl. And there we got more thunder. And can you see the difference here that happened since we were here the other day at our acorn at our oak tree? There was so much reaction to it. One of our volunteers cleaned it up so it would stand in its own beauty and dignity. There were quite a few reactions on the comments, on the posts, and so somebody sent me a text about it's called a Kermes oak. There are 3 different types of oak trees that grow here in Israel. Look, we got more over here. Two more in here. You can see the serrated edge of the leaves. There's some more over here, 3 more. Oh, look at this here, 2 more down here. So you have a feast of acorns this morning. I see a lot more up here. I'm trying to zero in up there, but I'm having difficulty at locating them when I zoom in. Great. And the image of the seed falling in the ground and producing a tree is also an image used for the resurrection. When they're asking about the body, the seed doesn't look like the tree. It looks very different. Oh, that's close thunder. And yet there's awesome continuity between that seed and the tree. So when we die in eternal life, we will have a flourishing that comes from that seed, so to say, in a fullness of life way beyond what's visible, our body in glory. It's a great image. Think of an olive producing a tree like this from one olive, or a palm tree from one date. So this text is a great consolation, and it points to that death doesn't finish us, and also that the sufferings before death that we endure in this life, at all points of our life, possibility of suffering, are for our purification. Do you hear the thunder? You know, I think it could burst at any time. I'm not sure how soon it's going to burst, but it really looks like it's prognosticized for 7 o'clock exactly. And right now it's 11 minutes to 7 in the morning here at the Sea of Galilee in Magdala. So I'm going to hang a bit closer here to shelter in case it's needed. Maybe the Instagrammers will have the chance to see teeming rain, but I'm not sure if that's going to happen like that. God formed men to be imperishable, the image of his own nature he made them. But by the envy of the devil, death entered the world, and they who are in his possession experience it. So there's a difference between the evil ones, the wicked, and the just, the righteous. But the souls of the just are in the hand of God, and no torment shall touch them. They seemed in the view of the foolish to be dead, and their passing away was thought an affliction. And their going forth from us utter destruction, but they are in peace. You know, when Jesus says in the Gospels, he is the God of the living, not of the dead. I wonder if Jesus had had direct contact in his human experience here with the Book of Wisdom. It's considered to be produced in Alexandria, but in the Roman Empire there was lots of traffic. So he obviously didn't get a copy by Amazon, and he didn't have an electronic copy on his Kindle. But the possibility of the sharing of these writings and this culture, it was important at that time because the writer of the Book of Wisdom is dealing with the attractiveness of Greek culture, which is massively present, and the challenge of a lot of Jewish people assimilating into Greek culture, and then the young people being raised in Jewish culture needed a processing of the great trove of wisdom from the biblical scriptures in order to not just to survive, but to flourish in a culture that had its greatness, but was very different and sometimes challenging for their perseverance in the faith. And so this great author of the Book of Wisdom marvelously read all of the scriptures in depth, and so he provided a wonderful assist to educate people at that time. And Alexandria is not too far away. It's at the mouth of the Nile River in Egypt. And the one Roman Empire obviously had plenty of transport. Herod's port was in its full glory, Caesarea Maritima. And that's not even a day. Well, you could probably walk from Nazareth there in a day. So it was totally within reach. But who knows? That's just pure speculation, right? And the attitude that comes from this reading then of total confidence in the Creator, who didn't intend us to die and who holds the souls of the just. When we read Psalm 34, I will bless the Lord at all times. How extraordinary. I will bless the Lord at all times. What a great way to live. At all times, in thunder and lightning, and in sunshine, in cloud and in bright skies. In rain and snow, in health and sickness, at all times, because it's about love. That famous phrase, for in good times and bad times, in riches and poverty, in health or in sickness. I will be faithful. I will love. I will bless you always, my Lord and my God. I'd love to comment the gospel, but we've gone way over time, I think, so I'll leave it for the Mass this evening, and maybe I'll make a comment about it in the Instagram. Let's see what happens in the Instagram. See you later, alligators. God bless you. Do a little selfie moment here. So you didn't get any rain. Not sure if the Instagrammers will get it either. It'll probably take another 10 or 15 minutes, and I'm not going to wait that long, probably. God bless you.